In 2014, the Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture, or SEARCA, took a bold direction to rekindle its grounding in food and agricultural systems and connection with rural communities. SEARCA coined the acronym ISARD for Inclusive and Sustainable Agricultural and Rural Development as its new direction in its 10th five-year plan. ISARD was seen as SEARCA's response to the complex challenges faced by Southeast Asia. Amid emerging opportunities. ISARD is a scheme and approach of engaging multiple stakeholders toward improving the well-being of the rural poor. This is through their improved natural resource-based livelihoods, along with supportive systems and institutions that contribute to food and nutrition security of the wider population beyond present generations. In its 10th five-year plan, SEARCA articulated ISARD according to its domains of social inclusion, environmental sustainability, and institutions and governance. As a centerpiece project, SEARCA successfully demonstrated ISARD in 2 pilot communities in the Philippines. The center has invested in packaging the lessons learned from its SARD pilots into a guidebook to be used in plans to scale up and scale out the approach with partners both within the country and in Southeast Asia. SEARCA asserted research thought leadership and engendered collaboration through 2 umbrella programs spanning research and development, knowledge management, and graduate scholarship. Within the FANCY umbrella program, the Southeast Asian University Consortium for Graduate Education in Agriculture and Natural Resources collaborated in and completed 6 research projects. With other partners, SEARCA successfully completed an additional 7 R&D projects and 7 capacity-building projects supported by different partner agencies. This is not counting SEARCA's other core KM and graduate scholarship activities that aligned with the FANCY thrusts. One important SEARCA contribution along FANCY thrusts was the pilot implemented in cooperation with the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. The Philippine pilot successfully demonstrated a scaling-up approach of improving food and nutrition security. This was through School Plus Home Gardens, which involve school children, their families, and their community. Using a guidebook it has produced, SEARCA with UPLB has shared the approach in an international conference, back-to-back with a training of trainers with CMEO Center partners. The center is also developing an online course on the scaling up approach in its next 5-year plan. Meanwhile, 7 externally funded projects, 3 of them larger ones, aligned with SEARCA's CHAMSI umbrella program. 2 of the larger projects were ADB technical assistance projects in the Philippines, implemented through the Climate Change Commission and in cooperation with relevant agencies and local government units. These projects successfully piloted and mainstreamed the Eco-Town approach for climate resilience and green growth. The third was a Philippine Department of Agriculture project implemented by SEARCA jointly with the UPLB Foundation Incorporated to mainstream climate change adaptation and mitigation in its programs and activities. Like most members of the development community, SEARCA turned its intent gaze on ASEAN, its secretariat, and its relevant technical working groups and committees as key actors it would serve and who can positively impact this region. SEARCA completed and started several projects that directly served ASEAN. Accomplishments included establishment and active engagement of the ASEAN Climate Resilience Network through the ASEAN Technical Working Group on ARD. Meanwhile, the ASRF activated a social forestry network as it supported 28 projects towards social forestry goals. ATMI ASEAN is strengthening the capacities of ASEAN member states to develop policies and programs that will support the integration of smallholder farmers in the sub-regional agricultural and food markets. Aside from these 3 big projects, SEARCA is conducting a cross-country study involving China, the Philippines, and Vietnam on pathways of rural transformation. The center has also completed 2 quick studies on agricultural innovation and competency standards for agricultural workers in ASEAN. Finally, Center R&D and Technical Services have assisted the Philippine agriculture and fishery sectors to formulate research and development, extension agenda, and programs, benchmark towards strengthening R&D for ASEAN integration, and enhance innovation in R&D in agriculture. SEARCA once more proved itself a world-class convener for knowledge co-creation when it opened its 10th five-year plan with a highly visible and well-attended ARD 2014. An important output and contribution of the conference was a book coming out of a synthesis by SEARCA's senior fellows of the knowledge presented in the conference. During this 10th five-year plus one period, SEARCA convened yearly an average of 3 important regional knowledge events, along with project meetings and capacity-building activities and core offerings. SEARCA knowledge and learning events totaled 377 throughout the period, 1/3 or 124 of which were regional in scope, involving 3 to 7 Southeast Asian countries. SEARCA took pride in serving as Southeast Asia's bridge to the global village through its global networks. Its active involvement in international development networks diversified knowledge infusion and capacity-building activities and knowledge events. As a knowledge organization, SEARCA reaped a total of 201 publications throughout the 10th five-year plus one period. Website analytics revealed that 2,900 individuals across 87 countries have downloaded over 6,700 SEARCA publications thus far, helping drum up and widen its reach to share knowledge and invite engagement in the center's endeavors. 3 thematic knowledge and information centers of SEARCA specialize in agricultural biotechnology, climate change adaptation and mitigation in agriculture, and food and nutrition security. The center also ventured posting on social media, primarily to draw in traffic to its official website and knowledge and information centers. The 10th five-year plus one period further saw the center aspiring to sow dreams and harvest living knowledge by conceiving and investing in a proposal to build a Southeast Asian Agri-Museum and Learning Center. The Agri-Museum aimed to widen SEARCA's reach beyond its usual engagements with scholars and researchers in ARD. It set out to attract the wider public's appreciation of and interest in agriculture, with emphasis on the youth and policymakers. A DA Bar grant has partially funded construction of one section of the Agri-Museum, bridging SEARCA's main building and third-floor annex, completed in mid-2019. Developing capacities of people and institutions on ARD in Southeast Asia remains at the core of SEARCA's initiatives. Within the 10th five-year plus one period, SEARCA awarded and administered graduate scholarships to 238 Southeast Asian nationals. This brings the count of graduate scholarships it has granted to more than 1,800 since SEARCA's graduate education program started in 1968. SEARCA actively nurtured these individuals socially and intellectually by providing yearly bridging programs for English proficiency, research writing, and data analysis skills, team building and cultural activities, extracurricular summer schools, and supporting alumni conferences and their participation in SEARCA training and knowledge events. More and more center partners provided counterparts in various modalities. This helped SEARCA further spread out its scholarship grants to more recipients in Southeast Asia. SEARCA stepped up its efforts toward internationalization of higher education through curricular development. Most notably the Master of Science in Food Security and Climate Change it developed with 2 European research organizations and 14 Asian and European universities. The center continued to assist fledgling academic institutions in the region through its Institutional Development Assistance Program. SEARCA drew in Agreenium, the French National Higher Education and Research Consortium, in developing proposals on research and capacity building to support these young and strategic universities. SEARCA with UHOH-FSC supported scholarships for degree and non-degree programs to these university staff, so they can produce graduates who can respond to shifting markets owing to regional integration. SEARCA also awarded a number of research teams with Seed Fund for Research and Training grants. The center supported 12 cross-country Southeast Asian teams in collaborative research under a joint scheme with the International Foundation of Science based in Sweden. Through its short-term training program, the center further provided for the continuing professional enhancement of the region's ARD actors. The period also marked a time for celebration. SEARCA received recognitions from Myanmar and UPLB. It reached its 50th or golden year in 2016, during which the center celebrated the accomplishments of 11 luminaries and 2 emerging leaders from among its scholarship alumni, and the 5th Dioscoro Elumali Achievement Award in Agricultural Development. Throughout the period, SEARCA had constantly strived to improve its policies and operating systems, infrastructure and support facilities, and IT infrastructure. Finances were stable and increased. At the end of its 10th 5-year +1 period, SEARCA takes comfort in its labors with partners that have demonstrated how ISARD on the ground has prospered 2 rural communities, ready to be replicated further. Asserted thought leadership and engendered collaboration in R&D, KM, and graduate scholarship. Made a mark as a key actor and capacity builder in ARD in Southeast Asia, especially in step with the ASEAN integration. Co-created and collaborated to make relevant ARD knowledge available. Relentlessly developed and celebrated Southeast Asian ARD champions. And continue to improve SEARCA's resource base. All these serve as solid stepping stones as SEARCA confidently faces a new era in its 11th 5-year plan.